What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Making Podcasts Great Again. I am your tech stuff guy, Jay Nog, and we are here, of course, with the President of the United States is Mar-A-Lago still there, of America, Mr. Donald J. Trump. Mr. President, how are you? Crazy week. What's going on?
We're under attack, tech stuff. We are under attack. There's no other way to put it. I'm surprised they haven't come for you. Maybe you're the informant, but we are under attack. They stole passports from me. They raided Mar-A-Lago, which we talked about during our Great War Council live episode last week. And we still haven't got an answer from Alex's iPhone. I thought it's one thing if he missed the meeting, it was last minute, but he should have some sort of alert. He should have like a push. I think we call it push notifications. You know this thing?
Yes, I agree.
Where like when you have an important meeting, you shove the shit out of the guy in front of you, and that's called a push notification.
Don't know if there's physical
Okay,
altercations involved in this.
Or maybe you do weak. Maybe you request weak push notifications. That wouldn't surprise me. That wouldn't surprise me at all. But I thought he'd reach out and say, sir, I couldn't. I was too busy hunting down Merrick Garland and his family. I couldn't be. And I'd say, you know what? You're excused. But he didn't. He might be colluding with radical left Tom Fitzgerald. Okay, who's basically, you know what? We have to basically explain. This is obviously, if you're not one of our Patreon people, these names might not mean a lot to you, but this is the deep state. I think Tom Fitzgerald has been running the deep state from the Patreon because he's been missing a little bit. How about that? But overall, we're in a very tough state for our country because they're taking passports, they're raiding Mar-A-Lago, they're accusing me of all sorts of ridiculous non-crimes. But other than that, things are good.
How has your family been handling everything? How has Melania, your wife, how has she handled all this?
For William Sonoma, I think it's a very fortunate thing that she can't speak English. Because she would be probably very upset if she heard all the nasty things and all the lies. But she just looks at the TV like a dumb model and doesn't understand what the hell's going on. And I'm thankful for that. They say ignorance is blimp. You ever heard that phrase?
I think it's bliss, but blimp works too.
No, well, blimpy. Well, no, what is bliss? Bliss isn't it? A blimp is like a big, happy, fat thing just floating along, doing nothing. You just say, oh, look at that. Look at that happy blimp. It's got no cares in the world. It just floats along like a big, stupid, fat Bill Bar. And ignorance is blimp. And I think the fact that she can't speak the language is very fortunate for her, to be honest. And she's got her 7-foot son.
Are you nervous? He's
Bismarck.
I'm sorry.
No, Bismarck.
Bismarcky or Bismarck?
Bismarcky, I know very well because I'm very strong in hip hop, and rest in power, you fat lispy black. But the Bismarck is what's it? You know who? The white
Mesopotamia.
No, that's
Melania.
Disrespectful. That's not
Melania.
Right. Myanmar. It's Malamar and Bismarck. Okay, finally I got the names right. Malamar and Bismarck. And he's very tall. He's keeping her company. He's like 7'1" now. So it's, hopefully he'll protect her from the FBI if they come to, if they have appointments and have paid in advance, the FBI can go see her. But if they interrupt rudely, they may not.
Are you concerned about Bismarck going back to school in a few weeks and how the children are going to treat him with everything that's gone on with you? Are you afraid he's being bullied or teased?
No, what I've been told, bento box is crate schooled. That's what. That's
His,
what
his name is Bento Box.
Maleficent told me, that bento box is crate schooled, which is even more exclusive than homeschool. Homeschooling, you can walk around the home, but they put him in his big crate. He's mastered the crate training, and then they teach him his strong patriotic history from his crate, which they had to upgrade. They had to get a big crate. Big guy.
Yeah, great for a giraffe. I mean, he's a big guy.
Very tall.
Great trained.
Almost as tall as me.
I think he's taller than you, Mr. President.
You can think that, but I know that that's not true.
So you're taller than 7'1".
Well, last time I was measured, 7'2", 240 pounds.
7 to 240. It's elite athlete right there. Now, Mr. President, I want to get to everything with the Mar-A-Lago in a little bit, but I'm sure you are just sick and tired of talking about it. So I'm going to give you a break for a segment or two. Have you heard about Rudy Giuliani, your former lawyer, or is he still your lawyer? Depending. Rudy Giuliani,
who is that?
The guy who poops out of his head.
Oh, very hardworking guy. Shit pours out of his brain. One of the toughest guys you've ever met. Great guy. Great guy. What did he do?
Well, he's a target now in the Georgia 2020 presidential probe. Basically, how you were trying to overturn the election in Georgia. Rudy Giuliani is possibly being brought up on charges, and he's being targeted now for this. Do you feel bad at all, since you had him? You were pulling all the strings behind this.
No, I pulled no strings. Okay, I don't know Pinocchio, and I don't pull strings. What I think is going on. Remember how I wanted to stop outsourcing? I wanted to make things in America. I want to build our economy back and stop making other countries rich. I think Rudy Giuliani was so mad. Remember how he was such a great leader on 9/11? He was walking around and he was pointing at things, and it was very strong. I think he was upset that foreigners had destroyed part of our country. And I think from that day on, he vowed, we're no longer going to let foreigners destroy the country. If anybody's going to destroy the country, it's going to be patriots like me. And he's worked very hard, and I think he's come close to that goal.
Now, do you feel bad at all, considering you were his employer during this time? You had him look into all this in Georgia. You had him, I'm assuming, being very aggressive with whatever he was doing in Georgia. You have any remorse that if he does get brought up on charges in Georgia?
I know I have s'mores because it's summer camp season. No remorse, all s'mores. Which, as you know, I'm not a big fan of. I think we went over this. Remember, they give you, sir, here's a graham cracker. Thank you. I like graham cracker. Here's a nice Hershey's chocolate bar. Delicious. And here's some gelatinous sugar cum to stick in between and make it all terrible.
You don't like it? Even when you roast it nicely, you get a nice brown on the outside, and then, I mean, it does get sticky and it explodes, but you don't think it gives a nice taste to the graham crackers and chocolate? It's the overall package deal of the s'more. You don't think so?
No, it's the s'more. The s'more is like Jared Kushner. The chocolate bar is Ivanka. The graham cracker is me, and you're having a wonderful snack. And all of a sudden, that mopey vanilla sugar limp, terrible marshmallow Kushner walks in, and you're like, okay, the evening's ruined.
I agree with you that the marshmallow alone is like Jared Kushner, but I feel the marshmallow mixed with something always makes.
Well, I don't get
that
down
thing
like
better.
that. If we're keeping this analogy, I don't get down like that.
So you're not
Chocolate
down with
and
Rice
graham
Krispie
cracker.
treats?
Chocolate and graham cracker can get together and make strong platonic father-daughter love. But yeah, that marshmallow and the graham crackers, got to get the hell out of there. I don't feel bad for Randolph Julie, because what I did for him was, you forget, I think I described this in a previous podcast. I believe it was him who was having strong anal with Sidney Powell. And you gotta understand, Rudy Giuliani, 3 times divorced, ugly, looks like a vampire, has poop coming out of his forehead. And all of a sudden, thanks to my legal team, he got to do strong anal with a completely crazy tall woman named Sidney Powell. So he should be thanking me.
Yeah, but he might be being brought up on charges and possibly going to jail. He should still thank
Well,
you
then
for
what better way to prepare for jail than to do anal with Sidney Powell?
that. You have a point there. Preparation. Okay. Now, like I said before, we can get into um the whole rating of Mar-A-Lago.
Have you
I
been approved on Truth Social yet?
No, I have not been approved. I heard you've been posting a lot on True Social.
I mean, the
The past few
truth,
days.
there's so much truth coming out on the social, or so truthful. It's the greatest platform, and you should see everybody. It's almost like everybody's a fan of mine on Truth Social.
Are you getting a lot of support on True Social right now?
A lot of support, a lot of nudes, some of them from women. So it's very strong.
Are you getting any hatred on True Social?
No, we ban those people as soon as they say something that's not strong and supportive. We ban them.
Got you. All
But we
right.
don't do cancel culture.
So you don't do cancel culture, but you ban the people who speak negatively of you.
Yeah, it's called ban culture. Very different than cancel.
How is it different?
Well, if you were hip hop like me and my friends, you'd know
Mhm.
that ban is also an acronym for bitch ass N word. And that's not about cancel, that's about street cred. If you're a band, you don't belong on Truth Social. Hard R, by the way, with a hard R, because it's truth and it's social. We don't do, it's not Truth Social. We say the hard L, so we say the hard R.
I got you. Okay. Well, now I understand the difference between cancel culture and ban culture. Have you spoken to Kim Kardashian this past week? Has she reached out? I know if I was a friend of yours, I would reach out to you, especially since you've worked together in the past very closely with her and you've helped her. Has she reached out to help you at all in this time of need?
No, not yet, but if there's the only thing I can look forward to is if Sleepy Merrick Garland indicts me that
I think it's indict.
now there's a C right there.
Don't think it's pronounced, but it could indict you. That's fine.
Well, it's called a hard C. Okay, we do hard letters on Truth Social. If he indicts me, I'm gonna indict Kim Kardashian, because then she'll literally have to do criminal justice reform for me. It's sort of like a double dose, a double D, if you will, of criminal justice reform. We'll have our normal criminal justice reform discussion, and then she'll actually have to get me out of jail potentially.
Right. She's done criminal justice reform for people she doesn't have a relationship with. Why wouldn't there's no reason why she wouldn't have criminal justice reform for you where she actually knows you.
Exactly. And I've also informed some of my great friends in law enforcement to start arresting African Americans all over the place. And, so that she sees that, oh no, there's been an uptick in African Americans in prison. You know what that means? We need criminal justice reform from Kim.
Do you think there's any shot that she'll get back with Kanye, or you think she's going to be just maybe going to politics? She got her law degree and just do criminal justice reform and be a bachelorette for a little bit.
I think Kim is not going to go back to Kanye. Maybe eventually because they have kids, but not anytime soon, because I agreed with Kanye, but he was very mean to Pete Davidson, which I agree with, but it's still a fact that it was mean. Okay. So what I think she'll do, I could see her, Salma Hayek. You ever heard of her? The
Mhm.
greatest Mexican ever to come from Mexico.
I know who she is. Yes, I didn't know she had that title though.
Well, no, she does, because when we were building the wall for Mexico, I said we need a 5'2" door, wide enough for strong double Ds, so that Selma can get back and forth with great safety from
Okay.
Mexico.
Okay.
And she married a billionaire. She dated some Hollywood types, and she great performance in Desperado. It's practically porn. And all of a sudden, she decided she wanted to get married, and you know what she did? French billionaire businessman. So I could see Kim being at the point now where she's Hollywood only has millionaires for her, and she's now a billionaire, and she's going to want a billionaire. I'm not saying it would be me, but she might want like a starter billionaire, you know?
I gotcha.
Um, and then all of a sudden, when she's ready for the greatest billionaire of all time, she'll say, let's do criminal justice reform. And, you know, we will.
Mr. President, I wanted to, before we get into the aftermath on the FBI raid on Mar-a-Lago, I wanted to ask you your thoughts on Fox News host Laura Ingraham.
I wish she was a little hotter, but she's still sort of a tall blonde. She's very pro Trump. She's very loyal. She's very tough. She's not as good as Tucker, not as good as Hannity, but overall, I think she's been great, and she's one of the great voices we have in legitimate news media. Why do you ask?
Well, she just came out saying that maybe we have to turn the page on Trump, she says. Maybe we have to move on from you, your old news, too much turmoil, too much conflict, and saying that we have to move on and possibly turn the page on Trump and find a new face of the Republicans. What are your thoughts on her now?
I think Laura Ingraham has been, is, and always will be an ugly, low IQ, horrible piece of shit. I think if there's any Patreon patriots or just any Mapigas who feel that their podcast president is under attack, go find I'll DM you her address and her phone number, dox her, uh, go into her house, kidnap her kid if you have to, and throw her out a fucking window, because she's one of the worst fucking people I've ever heard, ever seen. She disgusts me. I can't believe Fox even employs her. It's it's a real disgrace, what she is. I never liked her. I never thought she was particularly talented. She's not pleasant, and she's like the one blonde at Fox that you don't want to have sex with. So good job, Laura Ingraham sandwich, which is what I hope some of my cannibal followers turn you into, is a nice ham sandwich of stupid, unpleasant blonde with 2 slices of rye bread.
Mr. President, there's one last story that's not related to the FBI raid on Mar-a-Lago, which I'll save for the end. But would you mind talking about this raid on Mar-a-Lago? Um, they have the FBI seized some documents. I think 11 sets of classified documents. They have you in possible violation of the Espionage Act and other crimes. There were 20 boxes taken. Um, there are rumors going around saying that you are nervous because there's lots of things they took, and I don't think you were aware that the FBI was coming, and they see some things that can possibly get you in trouble on the criminal front. What are your
Well,
thoughts on this?
other than, I mean, it was a violation of privacy and a total illegal raid. But they also They stole 3 of my passports. Now, lucky I have 5 others, but they stole 3 passports. Have you ever heard such a thing?
Usually people have one passport, Mr. President.
Usually poor people with not internet, no international contacts and strong business have one. No, I have 9, and they took 3 of them. And this is what they're doing. Have you ever heard a totally honest president, maybe the most honest president, who just happens to have 31 forms of ID for 5 different identifications? Who doesn't have 5 different identifications? Sometimes I'm Donald J. Trump, sometimes I'm John Barron, sometimes I'm other people. And they took those. And MAGA Nation is so unhappy with this, and I hope we have peaceful protests all over the country.
I don't think anyone has that many forms of ID. Maybe in like an Ocean's 11 kind of heist, maybe they have different forms of ID like that. Bank robbers, but I don't.
Well, of course, but here's the thing. That's always the problem, is the bank robbers and the spies. They have 9 different personas. Oh, today I'm Ted Stevens and I have a mustache and I have red hair. Tomorrow I'm John Phelps and I have a shaved head and a goatee. And they always win. You ever notice that in the movies? They always win. And I thought the best way to beat the Ocean's 11 type people is to be Trump 15. You see that? Because 15 is bigger than 11. So if I have more IDs and more disguises and more countries that I can flee to than the Ocean's 11 people, then I'll beat when they try to attack me and steal from me, I'll defeat the Ocean's 11. And right now, Merrick Garland is like the Ocean's 11. Him and Sleepy Joe, they're showing up like pretending to be old men, but they're really enemies of the people. And so I have to have more disguises than the Ocean's people.
All right. Well, not many people who are not criminals have multiple identifications.
And that's why they'll never expect it, because they know I'm so honest and so non-criminal that they'll say, at best I'm smooth criminal. Dun 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 dun. Merrick Garland looked into my house, and he's old and a piece of shit. Trump, are you okay? Say, Donnie, are you okay? Are you okay, Donnie? You've been robbed by an old FBI criminal. Anyway, bars. The point is, what's going on is unprecedented, and it's also never been precedented.
I like that saying. I don't know. It's a tough. I understand where you're coming from. That you're the first honest man to have multiple identifications because
They'll never see it coming. They'll never
Right.
see it because they go, well, only criminals would have this, but certainly not Donald J. Trump, sir, because he's the most honest person. He makes honest Abe look like dishonest piece of shit. That's what they say. They say that on Truth Social all the time. They'll say, honest Abe had nothing on you, sir. And I say, thank you, sir.
Well, I mean, if True Social said it, it has to be truthful.
It's right there in the name.
It is. You can't argue it. Now, some of these documents that you allegedly had were classified documents. You said you declassified them. Can you take us I don't know how
You want to
the
know the
process of
process? Of
of
course.
from a classified document to a declassified document, how long it takes, what you have to do, are there ceremonies involved? The people want to know.
Well, it's very simple. It's not a big process because when you're the president, you can do it. You just say declassified. But I didn't want it to be boring. Okay, my supporters, my fans, they don't want boring. So they called me Declassify Bay, because what I would do is they'd bring in files, and you gotta look. They'd bring in files to me, and I would just stand over them and go, declassify. And they'd say, oh, it's Declassified Bay.
Like a
And
magic trick.
they made a GIF, the GIF? They made a
Yes.
GIF of me, which you can find on Truth Social if you were on Truth Social. But they bring in another document, and then sometimes I just pick up like shredded documents that I had destroyed after I declassified them, and then I would sprinkle them and go Declassified Bay, and they would all go ooh, and then and then it was and then some supporters would bring in their hot daughters and allow me to feed them meat with a fork, just like Salt Bay. And they would say, oh, Declassified Bay, very nice.
Oh, well, thank you for explaining that process. I didn't know that's how the process went. I thought there was some sort of
No,
government actions need to be taken care of. Or
they want you to think. They want you to think that it's a
Mm.
big action. But all I have to do is if I look at a document and I even think of declassifying it, guess what?
It's declassified.
It's declassified. It's actually nice of me to give it a ceremony, to just sprinkle shredded documents on top of a document. And then I go, I guess it's declassified.
So, just a hypothetical situation: you're in court with these documents that they say are classified, and they bring them to you and they say they're classified, and then you can just tell them they were classified a minute ago, but while you were standing here, they become declassified, or these are already declassified.
No, they're already, you obviously don't know declassified law. It's, if I had to have done it while president, which I think you caught it. I still am. For a second, you were about to, I could see it text stuff. You were about to say, oh, sir, you're not. And then I said, oh, I almost caught him. I almost caught that son of a bitch. But still president. So as soon as they bring these documents to me in court, I actually in my pocket have shredded documents. And as soon as the lawyer comes, Merrick Garland, one of his assistants, because Merrick Garland's 130 years old, one of his assistants walks up with his big stack of papers and goes, sir, what about these? And just when they think I'm not paying attention, I sprinkle the documents on it and go Declassified Bay.
Everyone, you have to watch the YouTube of this to watch the process of declassification, because you need the visual as well.
Subscribe to the YouTube. They haven't canceled us yet, so we still support the YouTube.
That's all right. Subscribe to the YouTube. Also, the reviews came in from last week when we went live while the FBI was raiding, and so many new patrons came in this week. We appreciate all of you. Patreon.com/MPGA. And we had levels signed up for every single level this week, multiples in the
It's a beautiful, we love
the
that.
perfect 10, and then some went to the $5 level to binge some of the bonus and said, oh, I'm going to be missing out on this. I'm just going to upgrade the next month. Lots of upgrades also, going from a middle to a higher tier, lower tier to middle tier. So we appreciate all those new Patreon patriots. Join up today. Like I said before.
If I may say something, there was a video, and I haven't watched it yet, and somebody told me that Barton Melanoma's son,
Bismarck,
Biloxi Blues, that he had said something very controversial, and I don't believe it, but apparently that's been a very big hit. That particular, they love the Barton Fink content. They're very big on.
Doing the bonus episode with Barton was very interesting. I learned a lot. I
mean, are we thinking that maybe Bartholomew might be in the running for multiple Eppies? I mean, it seems like he's kind of a hot new thing on the podcast scene.
He is. He has never done a regular episode yet, though. I think he's cameoed. Hasn't he come in and said a couple of words here and there once or twice?
Dan Jr. has, but I think Barton's done, I think, 2
bonus
videos and a bonus episode.
Bonus. Yeah. Sign up today, though. Patreon.com/MPGA. Mr. President, a few more things to cover, and then I'm gonna let you go. I'm sure you're very, very busy.
Well, I have an appointment with my new attorney. His name's Saul Goodman, and he said I had to meet him at 9 p.m. on TV. So I like the fact that he's a TV lawyer because it shows charisma, but I have to meet him. It's a very, you never have a lawyer say, meet me on TV, but Saul Goodman possibly representing me.
So I appreciate going over declassification, and you didn't tell me.
I just declassified the podcast.
Are you nervous at all about this FBI raid and what the aftermath might be?
I'm worried for our country, tech stuff.
Mhm.
I'm innocent. I've
Yeah.
never committed a crime in my life. I'm probably the most innocent. When Britney Spears said, I'm not that innocent, I remember looking at her and saying, well, I am. I'm even more innocent than you, Britney. And then you know what her next song was? It's Britney, bitch. It was like she was admitting she couldn't be even close to his innocence, so she just dropped the whole act and was like, I'm nasty now, which I appreciated. But the point is, I'm upset for our country. Because if you can do this to a president, if you can attack a president who's done nothing wrong, who can't they attack? You know what's next? Soon, and mark my words, soon, even African Americans will start getting treated unfairly by law enforcement.
I don't buy it.
No, if they can do this to me, the next thing you're going to, all of a sudden, you're going to start seeing news stories about African Americans being treated unfairly by law enforcement. You watch, I guarantee you it's going to happen. Because once they go after me, then nobody's safe, not even African American men.
We'll see if you're right about that. That's a bold prediction right there, Mr. President.
But
We'll see.
I feel strong. I can take it. I can take it because I know I'm innocent. I know I'm a great person. I know I'm a great president. And there's a lot of people who don't like that. They don't like greatness. They don't like great presidents, and they don't like me because they're losers. But I'm nervous for the country. If they do this to me, then they're gonna possibly do it to you and do it to other people.
Mr. President, the last thing I wanted to talk to you about, there was a rally in Arizona recently. Lots of Republicans were there. Carrie Lake was there. She's a former news anchor, I think for about 20 years.
No,
Now,
I mean, the hair is a little bit too close to lesbian, but she's got a rockin' body and let me put it to you this way. She's got a mouth that's very pro-Trump.
she's got a pro-Trump mouth. Now,
I mean, that's when I go whitewater rafting with Carrie Lake, I say to her, you got a pretty Trump mouth.
now, she is running for governor in Arizona.
Yes. Great candidate, very knows that the election was stolen.
Did you happen to see her speech?
I know she was suggesting that she said that stupid Ron DeSantis had big DeSantis energy.
That's what I wanted to talk to you about. Because she said that Ron DeSantis had BDE. And then people were thinking, and then she says, big DeSantis energy. And then said, you also have BDE. Now, are you offended about that? Because she's saying that you have big DeSantis energy when really, I think she wanted to say something else with the D, but said DeSantis instead. How do you break down that whole thing? What she was saying? Have you spoken to her? Because I was offended when she compared you to Ron DeSantis. I almost threw up. It was disgusting.
It was finally we got a tech stuff guy who has some loyalty to the show. How about that? It took us 780 weeks, but we finally got somebody who actually supports his president. How about that? Now, when I heard her say that, I called her up immediately, and I was not happy because I gave her my endorsement, won her the nomination. There was no Ron DeSantis endorsement. I endorsed DeSantis. He became governor of Florida. I endorsed Carrie Lake, and now she's a candidate for governor. When I called her up, she could tell I was very upset. But she's, I let her speak. I let her speak. We don't do cancel culture. And she said, "No, sir, you don't understand what I meant, sir. I meant that you have big dick the size of DeSantis energy." Like, in other words, because I'm so much taller than Ron DeSantis, she was saying my entire junk is the size of
Him.
Ron DeSantis. So I have a Ron DeSantis swinging from my waist. And I said, "You know what, Carrie? All is forgiven. That's great to hear. I appreciate that." And, and then I told her, "Well, I ate some McDonald's, so I think I need to poop out a DeSantis because that's what I think of Ron DeSantis. Very disloyal and stupid." But no, she was saying with DeSantis, she was saying he has big DeSantis energy, meaning he's just Ron DeSantis. That's
Right.
the best he can do. But for me, it meant I have a Ron DeSantis sized penis swinging and, you know, knocking people over when I walk.
She seems a little kooky, Carrie Lake, mentioning balls in her speech as well.
Well, in her original speech, she was going to say, my cum tastes like Arizona iced tea. And we told her, "Carrie, you gotta, you know what, that might be a little too much. That might be a little too much. I appreciate the compliment." And, she was tying it into Arizona. Remember, we talked about Arizona. Uh, you go into one of those Korean grocers and they try to be sneaky. They put the sticker over the can and say, $1.50. I go, "No, excuse me, 99 cents. It's on the can." And Carrie Lake has nice can. My private nickname for her is Arizona iced tea cans.
Did not know that.
So no, she was going to say that, and I said, "No, you can't say that. I appreciate it, but you can't." So she's kooky, she's crazy, she's insane, like many of the best women are, and I hope she's the next governor of Arizona iced tea.
Can we do a fuck Mary kill with her?
I mean, I've already done one of them, but sure, let's do all of them.
We're gonna go Carrie Lake, Bobert, Kardashian.
I fuck Carrie Lake because she's the most insane of the three. I kill Kim Kardashian because then you get three Ks. Kill Kim Kardashian. It's called branding. Let's go branding. And then the answer is always going to be the same. I marry beautiful, sexy, cute little Lauren Boebert.
On that note, Mr. President, we appreciate your time and literally the worst moment in American history. And thank you for being here today. We know you were very busy. Join the Patreon, any level, give it a try. Patreon.com/MPGA. If you are in Fairfield, Connecticut on August 27th, that is Saturday night, I will be headlining Fairfield Comedy Club, 8 p.m. Last time we sold it out. It was a great time, awesome crowd, great club. So come check it out August 27th, 8 p.m., fairfieldcomedyclub.com for tickets. And Mr. President, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. You can find me in Carrie Lake's rear end in about 45 minutes. Hey guys, it's JL. Just kidding. It's been me the whole time. If you can go to jlcomedy.com, if you're still listening, check out my other podcast as well. The episodes have been very strong lately. I have a separate Patreon if you're one of our rich people who's willing to do two. And as far as shows, Morristown, New Jersey, this Friday at the Mayo Performing Arts Center. I'm part of a very stacked lineup. So it's going to be a great show. I'm hosting it, so I'm doing 20 minutes and hosting. But they're paying me extra. So I said, sure. For money, I will do the thing I hate to do the most, which is host.
Mm.
And then no shows till October, but I think this month I will have, as I keep promising, but I think I will have new news on my special half blackface. So just, stay tuned. Oh yeah, York, Pennsylvania in October, Ann Arbor, Michigan in November. So hopefully more gigs coming soon and more news on the special. But as always, thank you for listening. If you're still listening, 5 stars on Apple Podcasts, share an episode with a friend. Like, we get all the comments that are like, this episode was like top 10 ever. You don't have to do it on social media if you don't want, but if you have friends that are like, I can give you an example if you're still listening. When I became a fan way back when of Adam Carolla's podcast, I had multiple friends telling me I should listen to his podcast. This is many years ago, before he became a little more hard right. And then like 2 friends told me, and I was like, all right, I'll check it out. And then I was like a listener for like 6 years and a guest for 3 years on that show. So it matters. Like, if you have a friend who likes your politics or has the same sense of humor as you, and you haven't shared it with them, share it with them. Maybe they'll become a listener. Maybe they'll become a fan. I know some of you have done that. But it helps the show. It may help your friend or family member have some extra laughs. So do it. That part costs nothing. That's even cheaper than Patreon. You just have to find a friend that likes stuff you like, and we can have a bigger party with this show. So thank you, as always, for the support, for listening. We hope you're enjoying it, and God help us all.